Come get your victory at the table. Let's talk. Let's talk. Come get your victory at the table. Let's talk. Let's talk.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on whatever time you have decided to tune in with us. We would like to welcome you to another episode of Victory at the Table Talk, where we have down-to-earth conversations about various topics to assist with your walk with Christ. Here at the table, you can get the victory, but you can also get a taste of Victory Apostolic Church right here in Matteson, Illinois, where we are building victorious Christ-like lives. Enjoy this episode.
Praise the Lord and welcome to another Victory at the Table Talk. I am Evangelist Stephanie Efford, the Health and Wellness Director here at Victory Apostolic Church. Before we get started, I wanted to do a disclaimer. The information that is being spoken during this podcast is for educational purposes only. In addition, if you have any symptoms of the subject we're talking about, please see your clinician. And in the event there is an emergency, please dial 911. Also, the subject matter today is for mature audiences only. We are going to get real down to the nitty-gritty and talk about prostate cancer. So we want to make sure that you stay tuned this is for men and for women as well. So let's get started. I am co-hosting today with someone that everybody at Victory knows, and that is Assistant Pastor Sam Lofton. So let's give him a hand. Amen. So let me just introduce Sam Lofton. Sam is a native of Goldsboro, North Carolina, and is a U.S. military veteran. He has taken to heart this quote, which I read and I thought was really great. Nelson Mandela, that states, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." So in May of 2017, he earned his Master of Divinity from Moody Theological Seminary, and in May of 2021 this year, he earned his doctorate degree from McDormick Theological Seminary in Chicago. So now we can't call you Dr. Sam, but Sam and I agreed that I'm just going to call him Sam.
That'll work.
So Sam joined Victory Apostolic Church in 2014, and we know he serves many hats and many ministries. And I'll just quote him as saying his platter is full. Not his plate, his platter.
The platter.
So the hat that Sam is wearing today is to co-host with me for this podcast as a men's ministry director in a collaboration with the Health and Wellness Ministry to discuss prostate cancer awareness and survival. So welcome, Sam, and he has two panelists here with him, and he will be introducing them shortly. So what I want to do right now is take a few moments to provide some information that is very, very important to help you understand what prostate cancer is about. First of all, September is when we recognize prostate cancer. Every month there is a wellness theme, and for this month, this is the subject. It is also known as prostate carcinoma. I don't know if you knew that, but it is. It is the most common cancer in men, along with lung cancer, which is the cancer that is the biggest killer for men. But you should be aware there are other types of cancer as well. Men and women both face different types of cancer based on their biological and their lifestyle. The most common forms in men are prostate, lung, and colorectal cancers. Now, prostate cancer, American Cancer Society estimates that in the United States in 2020 alone, there will be 249,000 cases of this particular cancer. And out of those 249,000, 34,000 will die. It is the second leading cause of death in American men, and about 1 man in 8 will be diagnosed with prostate cancer during his lifetime. It is also more likely to develop in older men and in non-Hispanic black men, which is a new term they use now. They don't use African American or black. They say non-Hispanic black. So that means y'all. So what is prostate cancer? Prostate cancer forms in the prostate gland, and it's a part of the male reproductive system. The prostate is a small walnut-shaped gland in males which has a specific function. When the prostate gland develops prostate cancer, it may cause blood in urine. It may develop in fluids with blood. It will cause erectile dysfunction, which is called ED, and other abnormalities. Now, if you want to understand the causes of prostate cancer, that's where it gets a little difficult. It is not clear what causes that. Doctors do know that prostate cancer begins when cells in the prostate gland develops changes in their DNA and they grow out of control. And that's actually typical for any cancer. We know that lifestyle factors play a huge role in health regarding this particular outcome, and health equity is also involved. Some of the risks of prostate cancer are older age. Over 50% of men over 65 experience and are diagnosed with prostate cancer. It is really rare in men under 40 years old. Race. For reasons not determined, non-Hispanic black men have a greater risk of prostate cancer than people of other races. This cancer is also more likely to be more aggressive if a non-Hispanic black man experiences it. Another factor that's really critical is your history, your family history. It plays a crucial role as well. If anyone in your family, a blood relative, has had prostate cancer, you are more likely to get it. In addition, it'll be more aggressive. If you have a family member that's either had breast cancer, pancreatic cancer, or again, prostate cancer, those are the three cancers that put you at a higher risk. So it's really important that you start getting checked if you are obese. And I know a lot of people think that obesity does not matter. It does matter. It matters with all diseases, and especially with this one. It puts you at a higher risk when you of prostate cancer, and it may also be more of an aggressive form with this one as well. So there's a lot of factors involved here. Some of the complications of prostate cancer are: it's possible that it may metastasize, which means that it moves to an organ in a proximity. It can cause ED, we talked about that, or it can result in urinary incontinence and other abnormalities. Prevention is key. Early detection is essential for prostate cancer. If you do not have symptoms, a screening, which consists of a prostate-specific antigen, which is called PSA, is done at your doctor's office or through a prostate screening, cancer screening, which you've had here at Victory and other places have screenings for men. Please take advantage of that. It can save your life. It is recommended that men at an average risk start at age 50, and those in the high risk category start at age 45. Gentlemen, if you have symptoms, please make an appointment with your doctor immediately for a thorough exam, which includes a DRE, which Dr. Sam will discuss further with the men during this podcast, and a possible biopsy if it's required for definitive diagnosis. Please note that you can have prostate cancer and not be aware of it, which may be metastatic, and it means that, again, it will spread and may lead to death. So I thank you for this time. I am going to now allow Dr. Sam, Assistant Pastor Sam, to introduce his guests, and they're going to move forward with our discussion about prostate cancer survival. Thank you.
And thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Assistant Pastor Sam Lofton, Men's Ministry Director at Vinci Apostolic Church. And I am excited today about an important topic, prostate cancer awareness. As we collaborate today with Victory's Health and Wellness Support Ministry, we are bringing a very important message. And to bring that message forward, I brought two gentlemen with me. On my left here, I have my good friend, Brother Kenny Brown, who's from Chicago, South Side. And then to my right, I have my brother, Sloan Luckie, who's all the way from Bronx, New York.
The Bronx, New York.
Bronx, New York, who are faithful men of the basement here at Victory Apostolic. We do a lot of stuff community-wise. But tonight, or today, we're going to talk about one of the things that men really need to talk about.
Absolutely.
It's one of those conversations that most men don't want to have. But we're going to talk about prostate cancer awareness. And both of you are survivors, I understand.
Absolutely.
Yes, I
Brother
am.
Sloan?
Yep. Actually, no, I got diagnosed with prostate cancer in 2015. And in my situation, it was a little unique because I was actually in good shape. And so being able to go for my annual physical and get the prostate cancer test, no matter how uncomfortable and awkward it felt, you still want to do that because there's an adage that ignorance is bliss. Well, ignorance is not bliss. You're better off knowing this sooner rather than later.
Oh, thank you. And Brother Brown, I understand that you are a recent prostate cancer survivor.
I am a recent prostate cancer survivor, and I just had the surgery last year during the pandemic. I was diagnosed in July, and actually it was a shock to me. I wasn't expecting that, but I regularly go and have colonoscopy checks and had the prostate check since I was 50, and I'm 61 now, so each year. So it just came upon me, and when the doctor diagnosed me with it, I have to say it kind of changed my thoughts in my life. It really did, because I was not expecting this at all. But I have to say that God is good, and he did bless me and got me through this.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that both of you brothers are here to share your testimony and share your story.
Absolutely.
Because it is important, because a lot of men, you think that it's not you, that it's not going to be you. Right. That is the other brother, the brother that sits beside you at church, the brother that's with you at the football game, the basketball game, the baseball game, and you fail not to get checked. But as the two brothers have shared with us already, it is crucial that you get your checkups.
Absolutely.
Yes. Absolutely.
No question about it. The sooner you can get your checkup, the best. I know many times we'll think, oh, I'll ignore it, I don't want to deal with it, or I don't want to know the truth. Mm-hmm. Some people are afraid to find out the truth, but the truth shall make you free.
Right.
Right. So even when you're getting your test, you're better off knowing earlier, because this is actually one of the cancers that you can do something about sooner.
That's a good point.
Right. So the sooner you get at it, the better off you are in the long term. Mm-hmm. So don't avoid it. Actually run to the doctor, get your checkup, do it annually, do whatever you have to do to find out whether you have prostate cancer or not, and find out early enough. I don't know if that's what you went through.
Well, actually, while we were in the basement back in 2017, 2018, yeah, we had a urologist specialist come in, Dr. Rajay Patel, and actually he is in the same office with my urologist, Dr. Grant Chavin, and that kind of made me aware of even more about prostate cancer, because you really don't think about it. You know, you can just go on, like Sister said, that, you know, you might not know you have it. But when I did find out about it, I had a backyard gathering. Sam, you remember, you were there.
Yeah, I was there.
And I was there, and I brought my sons, my son-in-laws, all the friends that was close to me, and I made this announcement. And it kind of threw all of them for a loop. But, you know, it was something that I wanted to share with other men, to let them know, even at a younger age, as my son-in-laws are, that you really need to go get these checkups. And you know, we're going to make it through this. And that's what, you know.
And you know, that's going to be very interesting. Brother Luckie, you weren't there, but imagine you're having hot dogs and hamburgers and pop and all that kind of stuff. And then Brother Brown says, by the way, I need to share with you that I've been diagnosed with prostate cancer. It's like, okay, I think I'll hold off on the next burgers and hot dogs and all those things. But timing is so important. Absolutely. One of my mentors, and Lord bless his soul, he waited too late. And it had spread by the time he found out that he had prostate cancer. Right. And he was to a place whereby it was now, we're going to treat you, but there's no way to bring you back, because he was so far down with how they spread to other major organs in his body. Right. And Sister Stephanie shared with us that it's one of those cancers that will spread.
Yes. Yeah.
It will spread. So you have to go get checked early. So what tests did y'all go through to get your diagnosis?
So for me, like I said, I had gotten into the habit in 1997 of going to the doctor every year. That's something where women have the edge on us. Right. They get their bodies checked on the regular. So I kind of wanted to be woman-like. Okay. And I decided every year.
And you said that out loud, Brother Luckie. You said it out loud. That's okay, though.
No, yes, but that's I really did. It takes a man to admit that, but I did. I wanted to be woman-like in this area, where I wanted to get my body checked every year. And so as a part of that, the doctor would give me the prostate exam. Now, look, I'll be honest with you. It ain't comfortable. As a man, you feel uncomfortable with it.
And what would that exam be that's not comfortable?
So the way the exams work, you do have to bend over, pull your pants down, and he has to take his finger and basically put it in your
So
anus.
That's called a DRE, digital rectal exam. Right. And that's, for you young folks that are watching, that's a different Dr. Dre. DRE.
Right.
So we're talking about a DRE that can save your life. So that is crucial.
Yes, absolutely crucial. But here's how I always looked at it, right? Just to take the edge off. If I felt bad getting the exam, what about the doctor who had to give the exam? That always
See,
took
Brother
the edge
Sloan,
off.
I
of
got
me.
a story. So my father was a prostate cancer survivor.
Right.
He's home with the Lord now. But one of the things that does, as Sister Stephanie said, puts me at a higher risk.
Right.
So not only do I get the DRE, I also do the PSA. So I do
Right.
both tests. But my comical moment is, so I'm going to get my exam, and all these other doctors, small and frail or whatever, the doctor that walks in with me looks like a linebacker from the Chicago Bears, fingers about this long. But it's okay, though, because like you said, I would rather know
Absolutely.
than not know. And brothers, as we continue with this podcast, that's what we want to stress to you. It is better to know than not to know. Because if you care about yourself, if you care about your loved ones, you care about your family, you care about your friends, get checked. Get checked. So, Brother Brown, how were you diagnosed?
Actually, I had my DRE at age 50, and my urologist said, "Well, you can come back every year, but we're gonna do the PSA." And he did mine through blood, and he said there was no need for me to have another DRE, but I can just do yearly blood samples. And I want to say maybe for 7 years everything was normal, and I think what is the normal level? Probably about 3.
About 3.
Yeah, less than 3.
Yep,
Right,
less
right.
than
So-
3, you're okay. Above 3,
Right.
you're probably at high
So
risk.
within this last 3 years, I guess I want to say that my levels were low for 1 year, like 2.8.
Yeah.
Then it spiked to like a 4.46.
Yep.
Then it went back down to a 2. But then this past year, when I got diagnosed with the cancer, it spiked to a 5.4. Okay, that's kind of off the chart, and that's when we have to go and do other procedures.
So let me jump in before you get to
Okay.
procedures. What were some of the symptoms y'all experienced?
Well, with me, if I
Please,
may,
Brother
Okay.
with me, it was frequent urination at night. Okay, it went from, I want to say I'm an old man now, but you get up once a night, and then once a time a night, and then you go back to sleep. But mine started to be 2 times, and a few times out the week it'd be 3 times a night, and I knew something was wrong. Also, erectile dysfunction, which I'm still having, to deal with now with that, which my current wife and new wife,
Yeah.
I'm still newlyweds. I had to bring that to her, because she was kind of concerned of why we wasn't interacting, sexually, and I told her that, it's because of this, what I have, the prostate cancer, that it just took my whole sexual drive away.
So before we let you respond, Brother Luckie,
sure.
so how did that affect you emotionally? Because, see, I think that's one of the things that the men are going to deal with, like, man, ED.
Yeah, it's emotionally, I want to say that I felt bad for my wife, because, our interaction as, husband and wife, we were kind of regular, and I don't know what regular is for most people, but I'm going to say it.
We'll take regular.
We'll take regular.
Okay.
But emotionally, it affected her more than it did me, because she didn't know what I was going through totally. She just felt like I was just having erectile dysfunction, but we didn't know it was prostate cancer that was causing that. Well, when I found out that's what it was, then that's when my emotions started turning.
Okay. So let me shift to Brother Luckie.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
So we hear about erectile dysfunction. We hear about the symptoms, the frequent urination, those kind of things.
Sure.
So let's move beyond some of the symptoms and find out, so what did the doctor do treatment-wise? So my father had radiation. He chose to have radiation, but we know there are other options.
Yes, there is.
So we'll let you start first, Brother Luckie. What were the recommendations from your doctor in regard to treatment?
No, that's a great question. So, at the irony behind it was because I was in shape, there were certain treatments that were more felicitous or more fitting for me. So, to get to the end of the story, it turns out it does pay to be in shape, even when you're going through something like this. But I had pretty much two choices. One was called the Vinci Procedure. This is a procedure, the machine almost looks like the arms of Doc Ock, if you could imagine that, right?
Dr. Ock all over the place.
And there's a doctor who's actually in one corner of the room who's operating this thing. And that's actually doing the procedure. But he told me I could either have the Da Vinci procedure or I can do radiation. Now, in my case, and every case is different, which is why it's so important to go talk to the doctor. In my case, my doctor told me, well, because you're in good shape, we really kind of prefer you to get this Da Vinci procedure, which is basically the removal of the prostate
itself.
But he still suggested what I admired. He said, but still go see the oncologist just to see what he says. Anyway, make a long story short, when I met with the oncologist, totally separate conversation, he said, yeah, we can do radiation, but he used the same words as the other doctor. But because you're in shape, I would recommend doing the Da Vinci. So that's what I end up doing, was the Da Vinci, where the prostate was actually removed. And one of the side effects, at least for me, was the incontinence, right? So that to me was like the big thing, because I wanted to get back into working out and I couldn't quite yet. And I had to wear like an adult, what do they call
Diaper.
it? Basically an adult diaper, which also played mental on me, right? I'm into fitness and I, had to go through that. And, But I end up doing the Da Vinci procedure. That was the one that was the best fit for me.
Okay, Brother Brown.
Right, and so with me, the urologist, Dr. Grant, gave me options. He said, you have 4 options here. You can either do freezing, you can either do seeds, which they inject into the prostate area, and it's supposed to shrink the cancer. You could do the radiation, which was probably, I didn't see it fit for me, but it was 40 days straight of 15 minutes of radiation. And then you could still go to work, you could still function, or the Da Vinci method, which Brother Sloan did. And I felt that Da Vinci method was the total removal, because the prostate, the cancer, was specifically in the prostate. It hadn't masticated. It hadn't moved about or anything. So I figured the Da Vinci was the best thing. And like in the old days, they used to gut you like a fish. At Da Vinci, like you say, Doc Ock, it specifically goes in a certain area. Like right now, I have 5 points of entry around on my navel and 2 on each side.
Same here.
Yeah.
Same here.
And actually, the good thing about it was, after the surgery, when I woke up in recovery, they asked me what my pain level was. Normally, you would be in kind of excruciating pain. I was like a level 3. Like nothing has ever happened. So,
did you experience the same thing pain-wise?
Pain-wise, the only thing I remember about the pain was that my stomach was sore. But, in the sense that, look, they're going into your body at the end of the day, right? They're moving muscle, they're moving a lot of things. So I found like my section, because I had the same thing, all kind of around the navel, was a little sore. But, I have to admit, maybe after 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I was back doing my regular workout, which is a very rigorous workout. I'm running up and down the stairs at Swallow Cliff. I'm doing chin-ups and push-ups, praise God.
Same thing.
Yeah, so I was going to, because, Brother Sloan, everybody know he's the fitness guy, the poster guy. So for us other guys, it's got a little bit.
I got a pouch there.
Yeah, a little bit.
I got some handles.
So Brother Brown, how was your transition after the surgery?
Well, my transition after the surgery, like you said, you have to you have incontinency, and I started out with the pen diapers, and now we want to say maybe almost a year removed from that, I'm still using pads, because you have to do a lot of Kegel exercises. That's right. And that's kind of hard to do, man.
So tell them what that exercise entails.
Kegel exercise is really flexing the muscles around the area of your groin and such, without contracting your what is it like right here?
Your abs.
Your
solar
abs,
plexus.
thank you. Right.
Yep.
Yeah, your abs are not supposed to move. You're supposed to contract the muscles around your groin. So I find that hard to do as a truck driver, because I'm bouncing around all day long. Yeah. And his recovery, he went back to regular fitness and everything. I was a couch potato. I wound up gaining about 20 pounds, just sitting around trying to.
We did notice that, brother.
Yeah, I know, right?
We did. We noticed
right,
that.
Right.
We noticed
my
that.
Victory
but,
jacket does fit a little.
Yeah, we were
snug.
talking about COVID pounds, but you threw a little extra in there on us, but it's okay. But let's go to another thing.
Sure.
Family.
Okay.
You shared that at the cookout. You share with your sons. You share with your close friends.
Right.
So, Brother Luckie, how did you share with the family? And was it a decision, for example, this is my body or this is my temple, so I'm going to make the decision in isolation. I'm going to do what I need to do for me. Or did you make it a family discussion issue whereby let us collectively decide what's the best course for the family?
That's a really interesting question. Nobody's ever really asked me that before. And I'm just going to be completely honest. When the doctor told me I had prostate cancer, I didn't want to tell anybody. I literally turned to the doctor and said, okay, because my thinking was, I was going to handle it and I was going to deal with it.
And that goes back, jumping in, back and forth.
Please.
That's what we do, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Man.
Absolutely.
And they call it the Superman complex.
Yep.
Is that not me? And so when you find out that there's a kryptonite in your life, it's like, so I'm going to keep this all to myself versus sharing it. Now talk about the sharing.
I did. I just decided I wasn't going to do it. I just wanted to remain focused. It wasn't in a selfish way, but it was more like I didn't need an audience. See, that's how I had it in my head, which may not have been right. Right. But down to the point where I was like, I'm not telling anyone. And the doctor was like, no, you have to tell somebody. Like you can't not tell anybody. And so I ended up telling my family, but for full disclosure, again, I told them a little later because I didn't want them to worry. Right. It was just my thing. And, I kind of wanted to go through the procedure. I mean, my immediate family knew, but my other close family and friends, it's like, look, I got to take care of me. I can't take care of my emotions and y'all's emotions. I'm being honest, fellas. Okay. That's how I thought about it. Right. And with some relatives, it turned out to be the right move. Now, I'm not saying everybody should do that, but for me, it turned out because when I told some of them relatives, they broke down and cried, and I had to care for them
because they really thought it was the end for you.
They thought it was the end.
But see, that's a generational thing, because in the African American community, when we hear the word cancer, it's a death sentence.
Yes.
It's a death sentence,
especially for the baby boomers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, oh my God, you got cancer. Oh no.
And in my case, I was able to follow up immediately with, "But I'm okay.
Right.
Everything's all right." And I could almost hear them over the phone wiping their tears from their eyes. So that was with certain people. I had two sons where I wasn't going to tell them immediately. They were ones where I wanted to share when I knew, hey, the procedure had been done and everything was okay. I wanted to follow up with, hey, everything is okay. But that was just my way of handling it.
Because your biggest support group is your family.
Right.
Those are the people that you can go to when you need to cry, you need to laugh, you need support. And so I felt, for me, it was for me to tell them, let them know. Now, my wife, she was wondering why, after I was diagnosed with it and all the way up to the procedure, the operation, she had this worried look on her, and she asked me, "Aren't you worried about this?" And I told her, I said, "Beverly, God got this."
And that's a good point. I wanted to transition to that. Spiritually, how did you deal with it? Were you angry with God? Like, God, why me? Or, Lord, I trust you in this. I trust you in this. And then from a spiritual perspective, do you reach out to your prayer partners? Did you reach out to your accountability partners? Sure. Did you reach out to your spiritual network in order to give you that spiritual nourishment that you needed for the journey?
And that's exactly what I did. And that's why I had that group at my house, so we can do this together and we can pray on this. And I just kept prayer in my life constantly every day. And I was surprised and shocked at my wife, like, why wouldn't you think that God don't have this? He's got me. Right. He's going to pull me through this, And the fact that it was a very low rating of cancer, that even brought my spirits up even higher, man, because, you know, if it had been full blown, I don't know how I would have accepted that, but you still have to put that in God's hands.
And the reason it wasn't full blown, he went and got checked.
That's right.
He knew up front and early his body.
Yep.
It's like, I need to get checked.
Absolutely.
So brothers, you need to get checked.
Yeah.
Wives, significant others, have your husband, your boyfriend, your uncle, granddad, nephew, all the men that are important in your life, they need to go get checked.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I'll do it later is the wrong response. We need, as men, we need to come together and realize there's some things that we need to do. Brother Luckie talked about it. The ladies are so far ahead of us. They're getting their annual checks. But we as men, especially men of color, like, I'm good.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to, and we don't want to hear any bad news. That's how we look at it.
And
but that's immature. That's unmanly.
Yeah,
if
and that's
anything.
how,
unmanly.
and that's how our fathers and grandfathers looked at it.
That's how they looked
I'm
at
not
it.
going to the doctor.
That's
I
right.
won't do that. But baby boomers, I insist, and I'd say you need to go do this. Keep a regular check of your body and go get all kinds of checkup. Colonoscopies are very important too.
Another one.
Yes.
Yep, we have that in common. And the other thing I'll add, because I had a spiritual experience, right? Like when I was first told, now keep in mind now, I'm keeping in shape, I'm eating right, I'm doing all the right things. And so when the doctor actually said I had prostate cancer, I'm going to be honest with you, my first thing in my head was like, what? Like, not like, how in the world? But after I got over that, this is a true story. After I got over that initial shock, I prayed to myself. It's like one of those movies where everybody's talking, but you can't hear them. Yeah. And you're in a moment.
Right.
And in my moment, I've said, well, Lord, I did everything humanly possible to take care of your temple. Right. I ate right. I kept my sleep. I did everything I was supposed to do. As soon as I said that, this is a true story. I said, so now it's in your hands. I did my part. Right. So now it's in your hands. I promise you, I'm not making this up. I felt what felt like a warm comforter come right over me, right in that doctor's office. Because I knew at that point that I had done my part. And I also realized there were people who got the same news that I had that didn't take care of their bodies. So they had double guilt. First, they got the bad news, and now they have to sit there and think, but what if I would have done this? What if I would have done that? That's another mental plague that they have to deal with that I didn't have to deal with. And so that was like kind of my spiritual moment where I knew I could come to the Father and say, hey, I did what you told me to do with your body. And that actually brought me more peace, frankly.
So as we prepare to wrap up, this has been a great discussion. So I hope all you brothers and spouses, wives, significant others, you know, you're listening for your dad. Dad, you need to check out this podcast because they're really talking about something that really you should know about. But if we could wrap up, just a few words or whatever, what would you share with the brothers that are listening? And I'll start with you, Brother Brown.
I'm going to start with the biopsy, actually, because that biopsy, I'm not trying to spook anybody, but first of all, I want to share that I want all our brothers to go get a checkup, all our brothers to delve into who you are, your body, and make sure that you're okay. But there was one moment, and Brother Luckie, we just shared that over on the side, the biopsy where they have to take samples of your prostate. It's a very uncomfortable situation because they take a sort of like a small tube. Yeah. You know, and they gel it up, and it's got a camera on the end, and it's a camera, and it takes snippets. And every time you hear that click, he was taking a snippet, you flinch. Yeah. And I'm not trying to spook anybody or scam, but it's very uncomfortable, and it could be painful for some people. But it's a procedure you really need to go through and get it done. Right. You know, so I just tell all the brothers, keep God first, forefront, take care of your bodies, and also share with other brothers. Share with your family. If you find out this information or you get diagnosed, share with somebody, because you're going to need some comfort. You're going to need some consoling.
Right, because you're not in it alone.
Exactly.
You're not in it alone. Brother Luckie.
Yeah, I repeat something I think I've said at least 3 times, which is ignorance is not bliss. You want to find out as soon as possible. You want to get preventive care. I know Brother Brown mentioned if you have to get a biopsy, that part is uncomfortable, but there's something that's more uncomfortable, and that's getting full-blown cancer throughout your body. Now you're going through chemo, and now you got that thing in your mind where you're thinking, man, I could have done something before, and I didn't do it. Well, now is the time to do it. So don't wait until tomorrow. Get your checkup. Knowing sooner rather than later you'll be able to avoid a whole lot of other drama in your life.
Yes.
All right. Well, my brothers, I thank you, Brother Luckie, Brother Brown.
Yes.
You know how we kick it in the basement. So we brought it to you in podcast today. So that's what we do, because we keep it 100, as the young folks would say, about the things that are important for men. Yes, we care about your spiritual journey, your spiritual life. But if you're not taking care of your temple, you can't do the things that God would have you do in his kingdom.
That's right.
And he's called each of us for a special job, a special spiritual vocation, if I may add. So I thank you both again.
My pleasure.
And definitely a big thank you to everyone online that's tuning into the podcast.
Right.
You know, comment in the chat box below, and we'll get back if you got questions. And Brother Sloan, Luckie, got to all my notes. He's like, well, you got to eat right. You got to exercise. You know, you got to do all these wonderful things. And, you know, and then Brother Brown got into my notes about doctor visits. So they killed my wrap-up. You know, y'all killed my wrap-up, right? Y'all
That's because we hang out in the basement together all the time.
We know where you're coming with.
So the basement. Some brothers out there go like, what is the basement? So every Thursday night, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, we have conversations in the basement. It's real talk with real men about real issues. You know, those things that you might not hear preached from the pulpit. Those things that you think you are dealing with all by yourself. It's an opportunity for you to come together with like-minded men. And you don't have to be a member of Victory Apostolic Church to join us. No, we asking all brothers from all over. Matter of fact, we're hybrid. You know, that's a term Pastor Drew taught me. You know, there's in person and online. He said, no, Brother Sam, that's called hybrid. So we are hybrid. And so we have brothers all over the nation that tune in with us on Thursday nights at 6:30 p.m. Central Time to talk about those things that you talk about in the basement, So why don't you come join some brothers and talk about it in the basement together? So we thank you for your time, but there's also some literature and some websites and stuff that brothers you can go to, like the American Cancer Association. They have lots of information about prostate cancer as well as other cancers that we would steer you toward. So visit.
Yes, indeed.
Visit Victory. Visit Victory. But you could also visit Victory Health and Wellness Facebook page. Yeah, we even out there in social media because we want to get the word out, not only about God's goodness, but his love for you to take care of your mind, body, and soul. Yes. So be educated, be empowered, be blessed. Until next time, be safe. God bless you.
Well, I don't know about you all, but I'm going to tell you something. That was an awesome discussion. Thank you, Pastor Sam. Thank you, Brother Kenny. And thank you, Brother Sloan. I have never heard a conversation like that about anything regarding a man. So for the ladies, I do want you to please look at this podcast. The detail was so intrinsic so that it can help you understand if you have a mate, a partner. Encourage your children, as Sam was saying earlier, everybody should get checked. So I'm hoping that this podcast will bless you in that manner. But there's a couple of things I want to say in closing. One of them is regarding to remember that while certain things you can do, eat well, exercise, and do a couple more things that'll lower your risk, but it doesn't prevent it. So as far as I'm concerned, let's lower the risk, okay? One of the things is consuming healthy foods. I won't get deep into this, but you need to make sure you get in your fruits and your vegetables because they have a high ORAC value, which just means they have a lot of antioxidants. And those antioxidants keep those cancer cells at bay. So make sure you get your fruits and vegetables in, do some exercise. American Heart Association recommends 150 minutes a week for exercise, for cardio, because you got to get that heart pumping. And the other thing I would suggest is that you maintain a healthy weight. We talked about it earlier about obesity and how it affects you with cancer. If you are smoking, I don't care if it's a cigar, a cigarette, a Tiparillo, please stop smoking. That increases your risk. And also drinking. A lot of times, and I don't know if this is specific to men, they drink a lot. So you need to either reduce your drinking or eliminate the drinking. I would say eliminate it. All right. Do it every once in a blue moon, and talk to your doctor about your risk. Although you go to the doctor and he will help you get through a diagnosis, why don't you just talk to him when there's nothing wrong? You know, let that doctor talk to you. Partner with that doctor and say, okay, what should I be looking for? What should my risk be? And then remember, and I was said earlier, ladies, encourage your spouses, your significant others, your all the male. I got 3 sons. So, and they're all in their 40s. One is almost 50. So I really need to talk to them about this. I'm going to suggest they look at this. And ladies, I would suggest the same. Get screened. And when if anything occurs, we hoping and praying it doesn't. If it does, please stick by their side. This is difficult. Men don't like being sick, you know, so just the fact that they're sick is a challenge for them. So do be their support system, stand by them and build them up, pray with them, lift them up. That's our role. So, and again, if you love them, you'll be their support system. For additional information on this broadcast, please go to cancer.org for the American Cancer Society. And as always, thank you for joining us. In the upcoming months, we're going to have a couple of different podcasts. We're going in the kitchen soon. Actually, in a couple of weeks, we'll be in the kitchen with V Mac. If you don't know who she is Vanessa Mack, and she is a personal trainer as well as an entrepreneur. And she'll be in there cooking up some good stuff for us. Lastly, as Sam said earlier, remember, we always say be educated, be empowered, and be blessed. Next time, you got to get victory. So remember, always, you got the victory. Praise the Lord, saints. God bless.
Come get your victory at the table. Let's talk. Let's talk. Come get your victory.